Who's that guy that's a piece of candy from Family Guy?
Do you know what with the candy? His last name is Woods?
Yeah, he tweets about Trump all the time. He's like Republican.
Oh, I don't know.
What something Woods? James Woods.
Yeah. You're more into the American politics than I am. I seriously, whenever I hear about Trump, I'm like, not my president, not my problem.
Technically, he's not your president. You're a Canadian citizen.
Yeah, I tweeted that a lot when he was elected. I was like, not my president. And people were like, yes, he is. And I was like, no,
I'm Canadian.
He really is not.
I own, like, and I'm getting less into politics because the further we get away from that election, which was super interesting, like that election in 2016 was like, what's that word? Encapsulating or whatever. It just
intoxicating,
anything. You just say words with. Like, it just brought everybody in. It made it political. It politicized everything. Like that picture frame got politicized,
which is what we want.
Election.
That's what we want. Politics. Yeah. I think this is a negative thing, but I think politics is the new religion. I think politics is the new measure by how we say. And I feel like all these like really political people are honestly like people who are hyper political. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty political, but people who are even like hyper political just remind me of growing up in evangelical churches. They're the people that sit around saying who's right, who's wrong. The people who do these moral police.
But it's like all 20 years ago, the people that were telling people what's right and wrong were conservatives. Now the people saying what's right and wrong, it's kind of switched over to the other side.
Well, I wouldn't say it was conservatives. I mean, of course, there's a trend towards religious people voting.
We're like video games are bad.
I think it was like specifically not political at all. Mm-hmm. Specifically, it was religious. It was like, and it was very judgmental. And I feel like Christians are getting way less judgmental.
Mm-hmm. And it's a shame.
And political people are getting way more. So it's like, it used to be like, don't talk about church and politics. And then it was like, well, you can talk about politics. I mean, it's like, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, but just don't talk about religion. And then it was like, actually, you can talk about religion now. Just don't talk about politics. Like, no one's going to be like, you're not a fucking Christian.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? No one's going to be like that anymore. Except for I have an atheist aunt who like.
Well, now I feel like it's the atheists doing it. They're like, you believe in the flying spaghetti monster? You believe in your sky daddy?
Yeah.
Like, all right, chin beard, keep walking.
Which I just don't like. It's why I kind of like, even though I ran in politics a couple times, I'll never do it again because it's a toxic mess. It's like it brings out the worst in people, not the best.
Yeah.
But anyways, Christine Woods, there we go. She's fun. We both know her. A theme here. So here's a question for you.
Okay.
A theme in this film is like unfinished things. I don't know if you notice this, but there's a shot when he goes to the bed to lie down and die. Mm-hmm. The camera pulls up and you see that the puzzle he's been working on isn't finished.
I didn't see that, but now I do remember.
And it's like,
yeah, right.
And it gave me a kind of feeling of like, ugh. And he has an unfinished pizza that's on the thing. And he's like, there's a lot of like this idea of like things being unfinished.
Right.
So my question to you is, when you die, what do you want to make sure is not unfinished?
Well, taxes ain't one of them. I would say that like if I were on my deathbed now and I were to think back about something that I'd left unfinished. Well, I guess this is kind of an aspect. Like, this is kind of do you mean more of a bucket list type thing?
It could be that, or it could be like ways you wanted to leave the world, impacts you wanted to have on the world, things you wanted to leave behind. Like, because we all leave things behind. Like, I think about this all the time because I have kids.
Yeah.
That if I'm mad at them or if I'm short with them, mm-hmm. or if I show them unconditional love or whatever, that's going to affect how they raise their kids.
Yeah.
And that's going to affect how their kids raise their kids. But then there's like outside of having kids, if you never have kids, there's the things you do in life that impact people you'll die before. and those things will help. Like we leave ripples, right? So like, what do you want to make sure gets done?
Well, I definitely I always want to make sure that I mean what I say, and I say what I think.
Sure.
Like if something's on my mind, and I think with social media I pull back a bit, and I just don't go on as much.
Right.
Like I might check the whatever if there's something for sale on like whatever, but when I'm speaking to somebody face to face, and I have a thought, I definitely want to make sure that we engage with that.
Sure.
Because I feel like, and we touched on this a moment ago when you said that don't talk about politics and don't talk about religion,
unless you want to like
get
alienate people and
I want to alienate people. No, I feel like that is like, remember how like there's an old boys way of things when it comes to business, like the old boys club, you hire men, you don't hire women, you hire the people you know, you don't like.
Yeah,
I feel like
you got to join that Masons Club or
you got to be a Freemason,
the Knights of Columbus,
Knights Templar. I feel like that's an old boys trope, like where, and I think it's dying, and it has to die, and we're gonna shed it like old skin. That, like, I'm so sick of talking about sports. Like, I'm so done having small talk like what we were before. Like, I won't do it, and like, it'll come to the point where if I'm in a conversation that's circled itself 3 times and we're talking about nothing, I'll just be like, Trump, like, or flat Earth, and just be like, react. Like, I just brought up the most, like the thing that people don't want to talk about the most. Like, let's talk about it. And like, because I feel like, first of all, us as human beings.
Also, like, you are a flat earther, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. This is what I like about you.
Yeah.
Because you are a very smart person who has opinions that a lot of people would say are not smart opinions.
Oh, man. Everything I say, most of the time, unless, again, we're having small talk, like the ideas that I think about.
It's an odd mix. I think people find it odd. Well,
because you're a conspiracy theorist?
because you're a smart, because you are a smart guy, but you're also a flat earther, which I think for a lot of people is like a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, like
it's a little tough for me to swallow.
Remember how we were talking about education, how like schools convince a bunch of dumb people that think they're smart and a bunch of smart people that think they're dumb? I was like, a lot of times there's a lot of like eye rolling that goes on with like smart people, and like, what is it, guffaw, like, ooh, like,
sure,
like, oh my god, you mean to tell me that you believe in X or Y, like, and it's like, yeah, do you want to talk about it? I'm not going to talk about it with a X or a Y type of person.
Sure.
Like,
then I'm going to talk about flat Earth because it's
you're not going to talk about this thing because I am that thing. It's like, you're never going to learn anything if you're going to like box yourself into people that you consider.
Are you open to learning? I'm pretty open to anything. I will talk to anyone. I will learn from anyone. Like, that's like, I will learn, like, we're not talking about flat Earth, we're not talking about you, but like, I always grew up being like, I can learn from anyone. I can like learn, like, I don't look down on a drug addict. No, I do not look down on a drug addict. Oh, I say, what can I learn from you?
I might learn some things while I'm looking down. I might take a couple of notes about what not to do. And like, man, I've been to rehab.
Of course, like, you learn from what people to do.
Yeah.
Like, me and Carrie once took marriage counseling from a divorced guy.
Hey,
that's who I want to talk to.
The blind guy knows the best directions. You know what I mean? Because he's got to get everywhere. He's like, don't go that way. You're going to get lost.
There's a lot of bumps. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you know, the guy with one leg knows the quickest way to the supermarket.
Yeah.
you know, like I think that there's a lot of like, and I listen to a lot of comedians, and there's two types of comedians that I find. There's the one that make fun of everybody else for being a moron, like I'm surrounded by idiots, you know, and then there's another comedian that's like, oh man, I'm such a goddamn idiot. And I always find that the second person has more clever jokes. Like they're actually more of a smarter person. And the person that goes around pointing at things going, look at this moron over here. Like he can't even like do this. And then look at this guy, he's voting for this moron. Yeah. It's like, dude, you don't realize how you look from all the other people. Like there's a